You? We have you?
Are we live?
I think so.
Okay.
You can fill it.
No, thank you.
Welcome to our City of Kingsburg Finance Committee regular meeting for January 25th, 2022. I'm going to call this meeting to order. At this time, we will take any public comments. Any person may directly address the committee at this time on any item that is not on the agenda. Any public comments? There's no one in chamber, so we will close public comment. Item 3 is the approval of minutes from October 26, 2020. Seems like strange to say now. Finance Committee meeting, as prepared by City Clerk Abigail Pelsgard.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, 2021-22 mid-year revenue and expenditure budget amendments. Presentation by City Manager Alexander Henderson.
Good evening, committee members. This is our normal mid-year review that the Finance Committee considers and then makes recommendations to the City Council. So included in your packet tonight are both year-to-date revenue and expenditures for fiscal year 2022. We are examining some of the line items that require adjustment. The majority of city funds for both revenues and expenditures are trending normally, which you can see in the supplemental documents. A lot of the larger revenues, we actually just got 50% of a portion of them, like property taxes and things like that, but some of them are received in the second half of the fiscal year, so some of them do appear lower, even though we're a little bit past 50% of the year, the fiscal year gone by. So there are 20 amendments that we are recommending, staff is recommending tonight for consideration. I'll go through them, but majority of them are adjustments being made due to changes stemming from COVID-19 and some of the budgeting decisions that we made, 9 months ago, as we were not 100% sure. So I will start with the recommended expenditure adjustments, and there's not that many of them, so I'll go through them individually. The first one is for the Business Improvement District, and so it's not an expenditure that city related, but we hold those funds. So we weren't sure at the beginning of the year what they were planning to spend their money on, and so they've made some decisions to spend some money on their website development and some other marketing things, and so we're making a recommendation to increase that amount based upon what their advisory board has authorized. Second one, there are some funds for in our planning department for part-time, specifically for our what we call our neighborhood improvement officer. So we added a part-time position after the year started, so we were able to hire that person, and so now we're allocating funds towards their time. We have a capital outlay item. It's also in the planning department. Some of this is related to spreading out some of the workstations due to the COVID changes, but then also just a revitalization of that area because we don't have enough workstations. So we received a quote, and it's in order for those those workstations, and so put it in here as well. We had to redo the lights at the pool, which we weren't necessarily anticipating, but that's a cost that's shared. Capital line items are shared in the JPA with the high school. The Linnea Villas project, this will probably come back at the end of the year too, so we need to, again, we're assisting them with the off-site improvements in terms of we're overseeing that construction, but it's not city taxpayer dollars that are going towards paying that. So we just have to show the expenditure and then show an offsetting revenue when we get reimbursement from the Fresno Housing Authority. The sixth one is our ambulance fund, our quality assurance fee, GEMT, that's our ground emergency medical transport fee that we have to pay, and is offset by revenues that are supported through the GEMT fund. The next three are the council approved, the Finance Committee and the council earlier this year approved additional discretionary payments to our CalPERS unfunded liability. So those amounts are just reflective of those changes that were approved earlier in the year. One each in the miscellaneous fund, the safety fund, safety police fund, and the safety fire. And then the final one is more of a, I guess, more of a informational item. Because of increases in revenues to the Measure E fund that we weren't necessarily anticipating, and then also because of the lag time that it takes in some of our hiring, we're recommending that the Finance Committee and ultimately the Council authorize additional funding for two positions. It's really bumping it up, roughly 6 months as opposed to waiting until the next fiscal year. From an expenditure standpoint, I actually don't anticipate that we'll have to spend more funds than what was budgeted, but we want it to be really transparent. The council approved, a certain number of authorized positions, and so just because we haven't been able to hire some of those because of delays, we didn't want to hire more positions because they will be, they will be positions that carry forward. So we want to make sure that everyone is on the same page with regards to actually authorizing the positions themselves, and so that in future years we will have to budget appropriately for them. So we're looking for that approval tonight, and then if there are, if those hires are made in time, and if necessary with regards to the actual line items needing an amendment, we'll bring that back. Just based upon how long it's taking to hire some of those positions, I'm not anticipating that. Any questions on the expenditures? We'll move to the revenues. Most of them, I guess, positive in terms of we are making revenue adjustments higher than what was initially budgeted. The first couple there, building permits and grading and inspection. So, we, again, budgeted conservatively as we were going through the budget process last year, still not really sure what was going to happen with the pandemic and whether that would slow down, building and development. Thankfully hasn't occurred to this point, and so we've collected higher amounts than we were originally anticipating. So we're suggesting those changes. It's likely, we waited as part of the mid-year one. We'll probably make a reflective expenditure adjustment at the end. With more development and with us collecting more fees, we're also paying for, plan checks. We have to send things out for review. There's more inspection services that come from Dave Peters' office and things like that. And so a lot of the fees that we collect, while higher revenue numbers are used, there's a nexus for, the services that we're providing in order for us to charge those fees. The senior center, lunch contributions, so there are suggested donations. We don't have to make them, but people have been making them, and then because people have been enjoying the fact that our senior center has been creating their own meals, there've been a fair amount of meals served, and we were just talking this morning, since the pandemic began, and Adam and the senior center have 1,000 meals to seniors. So there's a small revenue adjustment there that we're suggesting. The Linnea Villas revenue one is reflective, same thing, basically an offset of the expenditure amount. The ARP funds, so those are our relief funds, the first allocation there, so we're making an amendment for that. And then the next handful, until you get down to the water penalties. The next one are all impact fees related. So again, we budgeted, certain amounts, but, impact fees, same thing with building permits and other development related items are all intertwined, to the type of development or to the amount of development that we're experiencing. So again, we budgeted them conservatively, and, through the first 6 months, we've had steady development, and so we're, making an amendment, to those higher revenue amounts. And then finally, the water penalties. So originally, we're not able to charge for, we're not charging for water penalties because of, they were suspended due to COVID, but, some of those protections ran out, and so, we have been collecting some, of those, penalties this year, and so we're making a suggestion, or make a recommendation to amend that revenue as well. We are anticipating getting there's a state program that, allows us to collect for a period of time from when we weren't able to collect the penalties, and then wipe some of those, basically wipe those accounts clean. So we're hoping, Daniel and Alma and Sylvia have been working on that, and so, we should be getting, I think it's $20,000 that in the next, months, so. Here's my report on
From the state?
Yeah. Well, it's the state using their ARPA monies, and they created a fund to essentially just partner with cities so that it's easier for them to send us the money and then have us wipe the accounts clean than have it to try and send money to every individual, so. Other than that, nothing in terms of expenditures or revenues that are overly glaring right now, and, most in line, as I mentioned at the top. The general fund right now, we have about 52% left to collect, which is normal for this time of year. We've got a little less than half a year, but again, a lot of those come in kind of in large sums at the end. Then, as far as expenditures, the general fund, we have about 51.5% left to expend through the rest of the year. So both about where we would, about where we anticipate. Yep. So a couple of items in the ambulance fund and the fire fund that we'll probably do amendments at the end of the year, but they got some grants from the healthcare district, and then also just the timing of a lot of our OES reimbursements. So when we go on strike team for the wildfires and things like that, we receive payment for back from the state, but it takes a little bit of time for us to get that. So we're going through that. Nothing that expecting, or everything looks relatively normal. So, but now, Alma, anything else? Our recommendation is to approve the amendments as presented to the city council. May go next week, but may go at the second meeting in February. Here's my report.
So committee discussion. No.
Do you have any questions?
Myself?
Yeah.
So, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries to move it to council. Item 5, any other business?
Just the last meeting, we're still working on the rate study for the solid waste fund. The delay has just been related to the SB 1383 thing, so we got most of it in place, so we've got to finalize some if there's going to be any contract changes with Mid Valley so that we can incorporate those into the rate study. But I'm pressing on Daniel, but some of it's just a lot of his hands right now. But we are continuing to work on that. But that will be coming forward to in the next. I'm hopeful in the next month. But other than that, nothing else I have to report out.
We have a date, of when our next ARPA public workshop will be.
No, do you have any suggestions? Preferences? I haven't really,
Maybe
no,
within the next month.
sometime in February maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that works. Probably as a standalone one as opposed to having a discussion item at the council, more specific to that. So,
Bring back maybe the ideas from the first workshop and see what, like maybe some priorities, what fits the criteria, what doesn't.
Yep,
Like criteria.
yep, for sure.
Other business? To our next until our next regular meeting of the finance